Hey, it's Philip with G6 Technology Services. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at a Dell PowerEdge R720xd that I got off of Amazon. It's certified renewed, so we'll see what kind of quality it is. I don't know if it's going to have any drive carriers or not. I don't think it was supposed to have come with drives, but I don't know if they just left the front of it open or if it has blanks or empty carriers. But it does have RAM and CPUs. I don't remember what the specs are. But anyway, we've got it in the box right down here, and we've got some rails, so I'm going to put you on the tripod and we're going to take a look. I'm going to try to keep this all one take, by the way, just so I don't have to edit. I haven't been making a lot of videos recently, and I don't have my Adobe Premiere subscription anymore, and I haven't found a free video editor that I like. So anyway, let's get started. So we've got the server, we've got the rails. I'm going to put these out of the way for now. And I guess we'll go ahead and move this to the floor. I don't really have the big workbench anymore. If you saw one of the previous videos where we had the big workbench, I don't have that here. Let me move this chair out of the way, if you'll pardon me for a second. Set this up over here and point this down more so you can see. So we've got a nice big sturdy box. Go ahead and cut it open. Move this out of the way. Good news, there is a server in it. A little bit cumbersome. We'll get some of this out of here. Okay. Actually, it's packaged very nicely. Lots of padding. Nice foam here. Little tight quarters. This room is kind of small. Put that in here. This is going to be power cord, it feels like. Yep, 2 power cords. That's good. We'll put those off to the side. Handle is on the back of it. 2 750 watt power supplies. So anyway, since we are kind of running out of room, I'm going to go ahead and put the rails in the rack, and we'll rack this up and look at it in the rack since I don't have a nice big table for it to go on. So let's go ahead and work on doing that. Grab this, just move it off to the side. Throw this box in the hallway. Fell and hit me in the leg. Okay. All right. Let me move this computer out of the way. Watch my feet. Here's the box the rails came in. I don't know how well you can see that. Go. I don't know if these are... Oh, I think these are actually brand new OEM rails still sealed. That's good. I had to get these off of Amazon. I didn't have any that were the right kind. I had some older ones that don't work on the R720 and R730. There's that. Some nice little Velcro straps. Foam. Other rail. So let's go ahead and put these in the rack. I think this is going to be... Oh, okay, it says right on it, left front. Right front. Get these out of the way. Get that out of the way. And let's go over into the server room. Tripod through the doorway. Okay, I guess this will work. So I just set them there where they're going to end up going. And it's actually pretty easy to install these. I've said that before and then had a hard time with it, but basically all you do is these pins and these hooks will just hook right in. So you put the back in, and then you pull it forward and it'll snap into place. Then you do the same thing with the front. You just line it up and push it back and it snaps right in. So it's toolless. You don't have to have a helper. You can just put it right in. So I'm just going to do that. We'll line up with, this is a 2U server, so we have 23 and 22 are the next available underneath this one. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. Okay, that one's in. Then this one. Okay. So I'm just going to walk around the back real quick to make sure that they're in all the way. Okay, and we're going to slide our rails out all the way, like that, and then we're going to go ahead and try to put our server in here. So I think what we're going to have to do is tuck this out of the way over here, and hopefully that's good enough that you can see. Server. That side's in. I think that side's in also. Let me try to get around the other side here. Yeah, looks like it's in, so we can just slot it back. It just slides right back in just like that. Take some of this stuff like that fell. Okay, let me go ahead and take this camera back off this tripod now. So we have our server put in here, and it does have these nice latches, so it won't slide out while you're plugging stuff into the back. So we have to release it from the clips, and then it slides forward. So here's our R720xd, and let's see. Yeah, I think these are actually just blanks, so I'm gonna have to order some drive carriers. They didn't give us any. That's too bad. But anyway, the server itself looks like it's in good shape. The ports don't look destroyed. power button looks good. Got our info tag. Doesn't want to go back in now. There we go. So we'll go ahead and slide this out. And then you can't, I don't think you can really see too well in the back of it, but it's got two 750 watt power supplies, 4 gigabit Ethernet ports, USB, VGA, serial, and then there's an iDRAC port next to that you can't really see. Well, we'll go ahead and take the cover off. And it just slides back, and that's really nice. You can just lift it up and off. So on the inside, nice and clean. Go ahead and take the shroud off. We've got, what is this memory module that's in here? 16 gigabytes. So they're all going to be the same, and it does look like we have both CPUs populated, so that's good. Yeah, I think this was only 32 gigabyte. There's only 2 of those modules in here, but I think that I did agree to do that on purpose because this is not going to be an ESXi host. This is going to be a file server, so it doesn't really need that much memory. And there's really not that much else to look at inside of here. Oh, it does have this rear SD card slot. That's cool. And somebody else in another video was talking about these bays that you can use to run your operating system, so you can have the front full for your RAID array. And it looks like we have the 2 SATA ports for that, and I think they were saying these were the power connectors for that, but I don't know if I'm going to end up using those or not. I'll have to get some extra stuff to make that work. But anyway, that is the server. Let me go ahead and put the lid back on. These are real easy to use. You just slot it back in and just push the latch down and it latches itself back in. And these rails have these safety latches on them, so you have to push each side down before it'll let you slide it back into the rack. And I thought I had a bezel with this, but I guess it didn't come with one. I didn't see it in the box. I'll have to double check the listing. So anyway, we have our 3 servers there now. So let's try to get this powered up and see what it does. So I'm going to have to rearrange some stuff again. Move this monitor and this tripod. If you don't know the history, I had a larger space at the beginning of the hallway here in the same building, and recently got rid of it and consolidated everything into this room. So I am constantly tripping over things trying to move 600 square feet of stuff into a, I don't even know if this is 150, 200 square foot space. Well, power cords, that's what I'm looking for. Let me push the vacuum out of the way. And then, oh, here they are, power cords. Oh yeah, let me look and see. I don't think I saw a bezel anywhere. This is all just foam. Packaging. No, I don't think there's a bezel. I can't recall now if there was supposed to be one or not. I'd have to double check the listing, but probably not. This was only, I don't know if I mentioned it, but this was, I think, was less than $300. So I wouldn't really expect them to include a lot of accessories. Oh, here we go. Wouldn't expect a lot of accessories for that price. Actually, I think I'm going to need the tripod again so I can have my other hand back. Do this. Put this here. There we go. So I'm just going to untwist these twist ties on these power cables. Then we'll get our monitor hooked up, power supplies hooked up. Oh, well, this is useful. These are, I don't know what the model number or whatever is called, but these are the IEC cables that have this notch on the underside of it. And I actually have some HP switches that require these, and I didn't have any, so I'll have to remember that. I'm going to use them for now because I don't want to have to dig out normal ones for the server, but I'm going to replace these with normal ones and save these for my HP switches so I don't have to buy new ones. So that's actually a lucky break that I was able to get some of those. So let me plug in some things. I'll bring this back here so you can see. Just tuck this right here. How good of a view that is. I think you can kind of see. So go ahead and plug in the 2 power supplies. We've got our PDU up here. I'll have to route all of this later. Just for now, it's just dangling. Let me try to tuck it in a little bit. I do need to clean up a lot of the cables back here. It's a little bit messy. Alright, so we have that plugged in. Let me find the monitor. Got our VGA, let me cut the zip tie off. Somebody was trying to help me organize in here and put zip ties on everything. I don't like zip ties in most cases because it's hard to remove them. And then you can't reuse it, you have to throw it away. So I prefer Velcro. I don't know if you could really see any of that, but didn't miss anything. I was just unfurling this VGA cable that was all zip tied together. I know there's a front VGA, but I'm already back here. So we'll plug that in. And then need a keyboard. So we'll go ahead and plug the keyboard in. One of our back USB ports. Okay, that's all we've got for now. Keyboard, monitor, and power. I'm going to wait on the network. Don't need that anyway because there's no storage or anything that we can do with it. So let's see what this thing does on the first power up. So we've got our keyboard and our monitor. Oh, that is on. Okay, good. We're going to hit our power button. Power comes on. Oh, it's doing something. Configuring memory. That's good. Try to get this tripod back over here so I don't have to hold this the whole time, because this boot up process usually takes a few minutes. So what I would like to do, if I hadn't said, is use this server for a storage server. Particularly I want to see if I can get TrueNAS running on it, because I already have TrueNAS on another machine under here. It's a Dell Precision T3500 that's at the bottom of this rack. And I would like to be able to get rid of that. Alright, two 2 gigahertz 6-core processors, 32 gigabytes of RAM, 1333 megahertz, 0 virtual drives, which makes sense, H710P mini PERC card. That's good. Let's see, I don't know if I missed the prompt to get to the lifecycle controller. I didn't see it. but I also wasn't really looking. So I do need to get some 2.5-inch drive carriers. This has, I think it's 24. I don't want to count it. Oh, actually they're numbered. Yeah, 0 through 23. So there's 24 drives. I'm not going to use all of them up front. I think what I'm going to do is recreate as close as I can get to the same amount of space that's on the Precision, move all the data off onto there, and then I can have more time to figure out what I want to do with the rest of the spaces. I know I want to have it, oh, it already says entering the lifecycle controller, that's good. So I know I want to have an SSD pool, a spinning hard drive pool, and then I'll probably end up doing 2 mirrored SSDs for the OS. I've got so many slots to work with. I'll just zoom out a little bit. I've got so many slots to work with here. I can have my OS drives, a couple of hot spares. I'll have maybe 6 to recreate the pool from the Precision down here. And then I can create an SSD pool, another 6, and then I have this N, about 6 or 7. I wasn't really counting that accurately, but this should provide me plenty of flexibility to do what I need to do. And then what's great about it too is if this beginning section that I have the original spinning hard drive pool in start running out of room, I can get larger drives and put them over here and move everything, and then take these out and replace those, and either merge the pools together or just leave them separate and have something else that I could do. So it leaves a lot of possibilities, and I'm really excited about that, because this server down here, the Precision, only actually has 2 hard drive slots in it, and I think I'm just mirroring 2 4 or 6 terabyte, I can't remember, regular hard drives. Oh, it looks like it turned off for some reason. I might have missed a prompt, I don't know, I wasn't paying attention. I thought we were entering the lifecycle controller and then it shut off. Anyway, that Precision only has 2 drive bays in it anyway. So if I can get maybe 4 terabyte, 2.5-inch SATA drives, and get like 4 or 5 of those, and make an array out of those, I'll have plenty of space to move off of that and still have extra, which that's not even halfway full anyway, so I've got plenty. So then I can get rid of that, free up like 3 or 4U, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4U that's taken up, including the shelf. Actually 5U including the shelf, so that'll free up a lot of space down there. It'll also make it easier to manage because we'll have our iDRAC, so I can have remote monitoring real easy of the drive status and everything. Actually, that's not going to be used for that, because with TrueNAS it passes the drives through and the OS manages them, and it does ZFS, so I'm not going to be using the perk braid. It'll be in like pass-through mode basically. But it's still good to have that, be able to monitor things, have the 2 power supplies. So if one fails, you've got the other one, but also it allows you to do neat things like unplug one and move it to a different UPS or power source, and then wait for it to come back on and unplug the other one. I don't want the boot agent lifecycle controller. F10, entering lifecycle controller. So it lets you be flexible about the power. You can shift things around and not cause an outage. So that's pretty nice. Strike the F1 key to continue F2. Well, I don't know, what am I continuing to? Lifecycle controller? Let's see what it does. That's what I wanted. I actually don't have a mouse plugged in, and I think the lifecycle controller is mostly a GUI that's easier to navigate with the mouse. Well, it's still on. I don't know what it's doing. Okay. Initializing firmware interfaces. Also, if you haven't seen it before too, this other rack has my network gear in there. My HP switches. These switches aren't doing anything, I'm just storing them there. And these are not firewalls. They used to be, but they're pfSense nodes. Then we have these other Dell servers. I have a couple of ESXi hosts and a video recorder NVR security camera. These X-serves that don't do anything. Okay, entering lifecycle controller. Let's see if it'll do it. And I'm looking around and I don't see my mouse. I don't know where it went. I think somebody moved it. It was with this keyboard, but I don't see it over here anymore. This is our like spare parts area, and there's no mouse. It's not sitting over here behind the server. Anyway, we're entering the lifecycle controller. This takes so long, I don't know why. And I usually check when I get these from Amazon or eBay or whatever to make sure that there are no firmware updates. And there usually are, so I'll be upgrading the firmware at a later date. I'm going to have to order some hard drive caddies first so I can actually put some drives in here. Now you technically could, let me see if one of these will come out, you technically can just kind of stick a drive in there and it'll work, but it's just kind of hanging on its own weight. I guess at a minimum, if they weren't going to put caddies in there, I'm glad they came with blanks and it's not just a big old open space. Well, now what are we doing? There we go. Oh, it wants me to do something. I don't have a mouse. Let's see if I can... Is this keyboard even working? No. Oh, yeah, it was. Next. Initial setup wizard. Recommends installing the tools. Okay. Next. Lifecycle controller network settings. Let me see, how do you change... Oh, there we go. Okay. Now, is the lifecycle controller different than the iDRAC? Because there was a separate interface for that, so I don't know why it's trying... Let me double check on that. But I don't know why it's trying to use one of the integrated NICs if it has its own. Yeah, it has a separate one, so maybe... barely can see that, but it's down there next to that blue light. So maybe the lifecycle controller is different than the iDRAC. I thought that was kind of the same thing. I'm not really sure, but I'll just leave it not configured and I'll come back to it later. Let's see. Okay, operation is in progress. Don't know why it's so much effort to set network settings. Maybe because there's nothing plugged in, but it was set to not configured, so it shouldn't be trying to do anything. And I need to research that lifecycle controller versus iDRAC, see what the difference is if they are not the same thing. Because I know if there's no iDRAC port on the back, I've seen where it'll share one of the ports built in, it'll bridge to it. Unable to save. Huh. Is that just because I didn't put anything in? I don't know. It looks like they actually reset this to factory because the ones I've gotten before still had a previous configuration on them and I had to reset it. But I don't remember having to do that. Let's see what it does for IPv6. That might fail also. I don't know if it's actually a problem that it won't set it, or if it's just because there's nothing plugged in and it's not configured, basically. But I do have iDRAC set up on one of these other Dell servers, and it's really nice. Actually, it tells you I get email notifications if there's any problems with the server at all. and it does that one I do have the integrated RAID card set up. It's an ESXi host, and I've got a local data store. And oh, here we go. Okay, iDRAC set up. So I guess that they are two different things then. But I don't know. Let me just put on DHCP for now, I guess, because I don't have the settings on hand, and I don't feel like having to go look it up right now. We're not really trying to set this up right now anyway. Just leave all that, and I'll change it later. I just wanted to get into the system settings. I don't know what else we would need to see that we haven't seen already in there, because we already looked at the processor and the memory. But this was for a server, it's kind of low spec, but that's fine for what I'm doing, because it's just going to be a file server, so it doesn't need to be doing a lot. I'm not going to be running any containers or VMs on it. It's just going to have a few data stores on there, some file shares, a couple of NFS shares for ESXi. I'm going to try to set up iSCSI with formatted as VMFS and see if I can get multiple ESXi hosts to share it. I tried to do that on the current TrueNAS and was running into some issues with the configuration not wanting to save. So I don't know that much about iSCSI. When I've used it in the past, it's always had really simplified setup wizards, and you don't get asked a bunch of questions. And the TrueNAS setup, it asks you a lot of detailed questions I don't know the answer to, so I need to do some more research on that. But I would like to get shared storage set up for these ESXi hosts and get them all on automatic backups. Because I just have the free license for ESXi, and it blocks all the APIs that any of the backup software uses. So I don't know if that really helps my problem, having it all consolidated on one server. Right now each one just has its own data store on it, and then I just manually stop the VM like every month and copy the entire directory to a file server, and that's the backup. So it's better than nothing, but it's not ideal. I'd rather have something automatic. So I don't know if having centralized storage is a good idea, because right now if one of these servers dies, I just have to deal with the data that's on one of them, but if that shared storage dies, it's everything. But the idea is that I can be more flexible with the VM host, shut them down and move things around, and everything being on shared storage, I can just register the VMs on a different host. I do want to get the Essentials license for ESXi though. I think it's like $700 or $800. It lets you have 3 hosts, and it does unlock those APIs, and you can have like vMotion, I believe, which would be really nice because you can move VMs to a different host while they're still running. I don't know exactly how it's able to do that, but pretty cool. So once I get that, that might be just the way to go, and then I can have all the automatic backups running since those APIs will be unlocked. Okay, unable to retrieve the IP address, yes, because there's nothing plugged into the port. Okay, and that confirms they are two different things. Lifecycle controller and iDRAC both can have their own IP. Finish. Okay, here we are. Finally, this is what I've been looking for. Hardware. Oops. How do we get over hardware inventory? Just want to see what it's got. And I don't know, actually I should have looked before I clicked that, because that's probably going to take a while, but I hope this has iDRAC Enterprise that lets you have remote KVM console. I got a free trial of it on another server, and it actually works really nicely. Well, I had to upgrade the firmware because it was trying to use Java. So newer firmware lets you do it with HTML5, and that was actually really nice. You get to watch the server boot up when you restart it and things like that. So very useful. I don't know how you get that license if you don't already have it, if you can just call Dell and order it, or it's probably $1 million, I don't know. So the ones that come with it, that's really nice. I haven't been so lucky to get one that came with it. Maybe this will be the first one, but I've seen other ones on YouTube where people have ordered servers used, and it comes with iDRAC Enterprise. Actually, I feel like I remember seeing that in the listing, that it had that. I'll have to see. I don't know where that is in here. I think under settings or system setup you can get into iDRAC settings. We'll see when this hardware inventory is done. We'll look for that next. I don't know what the date is on this firmware either, how old it is. Come on, almost finished. I have to get a new battery for this UPS because it's got the red light on it. And this other one is almost at full capacity now that I have this other server on it. Oh, here we go. View current inventory. This might take a few minutes too. Well, let's see what it does. I thought that's what we were already doing. Good news is it's still running. It hasn't randomly shut off or caught on fire yet, so I think we're going to be in good shape. I'm really glad I sprung for the Rails because this other server is just on a shelf and it's just sitting there. And I'd like for it to be on Rails, but those Rails are like $100, so at the time, I already had the shelf anyway, I didn't buy it. So I just thought I'd stick it on there. That's why I put this server up here. I didn't want to put this one down here, because now if I add another one, I can just set it on top of here. Or I can replace the shelf with Rails and I still have my 2 spots. So it gives me more options. And I think I want to get a bezel if I can find one for both of these, because it does look nice with that on there. And I did end up, actually, which one is it? I think it's this. There's another XD, but we have the 3.5-inch version, which has 12 drives, and the 2.5-inch version can support 24. I was going to make this one my storage server originally, but I ended up making that the video server, the NVR, because the NVR drives was like big Western Digital, I think it's the red ones. No, it's purple. I can't remember. No, red is NAS. The purple is NVR drives. I don't think they make all those different versions in 2.5-inch that I could find. So this way I can just use the 3.5-inch full-size drives for the recorder. This one is just the non-XD. It's just a standard. How many drives does this support? I don't know how many are in here now. 8. So this will hold 16. If I had the other side of it populated, which I don't know how that works, if that just works by default. I think you might have to add on the backplane and the cable and everything for it. I'm not sure, but I'm not planning on adding any more drives to that. It's an ESXi host, and I want to get rid of local storage eventually anyway. And then we have the standard R720 3.5-inch, not the XD, that has 8 drives. But it's full. 2.5-inch non-XD has 8 drives, and you can fit 8 more. So I really like the 2.5-inch, and those laptop drives are really cheap. And you can just find those anywhere. SSDs also are in this form factor. If you went with the 3.5-inch, you'd have to use drive bay adapters for all of them. The only downside, if you can really call it that, is that the XD doesn't have an optical drive, but I guess nothing really uses that anymore anyway. Okay, looks like our inventory is finished. I don't know what is in this list. Well, let's just try and arrow through it real quick. I don't know. Kind of a lot in here. Okay, I stopped holding down the arrow key a couple minutes ago and it's still going, so I have to remember not to hold it down. Last system inventory was in 1970. That's pretty cool. Oh, manufacture date 2014. So right at 10 years old. Except that says September, so actually it's not quite 10 years yet, but close. Oh wait, that's a memory module. That's not the system. Samsung memory module was manufactured in 2014. This list actually is pretty long. Integrated NIC, Net Extreme. I like the Intel better, but it's fine. Broadcom, I guess, are cheaper. So they put those in there. Oh Yeah, if you hold that arrow key down, you have to anticipate when you're going to need it to stop and plan a couple minutes ahead of time. Embedded host bridge. Yeah, there's a lot of information in here that I think we don't need. I'm just trying to find out more information about the CPUs, really. So I wasn't really paying that close attention when they were up on that screen before. I think that was in the drop down. I can just go back up and change it. There we go. Yeah, they'll support ECC memory. It's a E5-2620. Virtualization capable and enabled, hyper-threading capable and enabled. Okay, 6 cores, 12 threads. So we have 24 threads available. That's really all I was looking for, I think. So anyway, this looks like it's a winner. Nice, oh yeah, let me see. No, repurpose or retire system, what does that do? Not that. Let's see what's in here. Advanced hardware configuration, possibly. iDRAC. Oh, system summary. Enterprise, yes, iDRAC Enterprise, good. NIC selection dedicated, so it does. Okay, so that must be the difference. I wonder if it's a physical card then. No, because I got a software upgrade that did it. So I don't know what the difference is, why some of the iDRACs have their own port and some are shared. But anyway, that is excellent news. We have Enterprise, so I should be able to, once I get the network settings configured, I can go ahead and virtual console into this. So that's pretty good. If it'll tell you now what our temperature is. That's just settings. I don't know. Anyway, I'm happy about this. It looks like a good machine. I can't wait to start using it. I'm going to have to order some drive bay adapters, or some caddies, I mean, so I can throw some drives in there. I have this box of laptop drives. You can kind of see it back in here. That's all full of laptop drives. So I've got plenty. Those are all 1 terabyte drives, so I can throw in 6 to 8 of those. Throw it into RAID 6 and have almost the same amount of space I have on that one, plus more than 1 disk failure support. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and shut this off if I can get the cursor back over there. Exit. Exit. And then, can I just press it? Yep, it's off. That's good. Let's see if our load dropped at all. Okay. Yeah, I think it did. Yeah, it definitely did. That's interesting that this one has taken up so much capacity, especially with no drives in it. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video. I was kind of all over the place, but I just wanted to make sure I got that done because I wanted to rack up this server and wanted to share the experience with you. So hopefully you enjoyed. I do have some other server unboxing videos and some other server content if you're interested in that, some network related content. Ignore the vacuum. Like I said, kind of tight on space in here. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.